Hello and welcome to Late Night Creatures, the only live show where we draw creatures, and that's the whole show. I'm Peter Toro, and I will be your host as always. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So usually on Late Night Creatures, to start us off, we like to do a bold shape, so we have a good basis for the rest of the creature. So let's see. Let's just do sort of this. Let's do something like this, just to get us started. We can work off of this as we see fit. Now I see potential for this to be a weird shaped head. That little cavity there, I think, has a lot of potential. And I think we can do a lot of fun stuff with that. So let's bring that around like so. Oh yeah. Yeah, online school can get a little rough, especially with a high workload, because you have, some at-home responsibilities and the usual, expectation when you're home is that your time is free time. And so moving that into the exact opposite, it can get a little stressful. But let's try and just unwind with some silly monsters. So we got this. This is going to be eye territory here. Thinking having like a really sort of pushed, sunken eye in a very strong direction here. Because, I don't know, I just think it looks cool. Look how fun that is. In fact, we can probably push it a little further if we make this look a little more, make that look a little less tangential. We can get a better feel that way. Sort of make the eye more of an oval rather than a circle. That'll make it poke into this cavity a lot better, which is cool. So hello, everyone. So we got this eye in, and we have this area, which I'm thinking trunk, some type of snout, or we might make it into a full mouth, but we'll get there in a bit. Don't want to rush things. If something hits me, I'll move there. But we got to get this eye. I want to add a little more stuff to this eye here. I think I want this to be reverse. The pupil is white. Iris is much darker. Because that always looks just a little creepy. And I think we can make this this specific creature a little unsettling, despite how cartoony it may look right now, especially if we do this. See, that's a trade secret in my experience. Is a really scary eye design is dark with a really high contrast iris and then a smaller pupil. That's how you make a scary monster. The wolf in the first episode of Over the Garden Wall has eyes like that, and that's sort of the whole focus of that monster. So let's move, let's forge ahead here. So I don't want to move on to the mouth area just yet. I do want to add some sort of thing up here. So let's give it some horns for now. Just some nice sort of puffy, swollen-ish horns. Very nice. Very cool. And we can do the other side. See, horns are fun because they make things look evil. If you think of any, just most depictions of Satan have horns. And so this has the tendency to look really cute because it has a tendency to sort of look like, it sort of right now just sort of looks like a cute little elephant. It has this tendency to just be like, elephant. And so that's not the best elephant, but it has the tendency to be sort of elephant, and I don't want that. And so we're going to do those, and I think I have an idea for this now. First step of my idea is to get rid of this. A sick narwhal, yeah. Oh yeah, with the snout thing being the tail. Well, hopefully I can fix it from looking like a narwhal in a second here, because that is not what I'm going for. But that is a cool idea. A narwhal creature based on a narwhal could be a lot of fun. Maybe we can move on. Maybe we can do one of those when we get past him, past this thing, which I won't name until the end, as is the usual. If you're new here, names are saved for the end. That's the protocol. I need to make this look a lot more fleshy, which is what I'm currently working on, is giving these a lot more of a squishy look to them. Okay, so people keep asking me my thoughts on border control. I'm not going to give them because this is not a political channel. My opinions are my own. If you want to know some of the creatures' thoughts on border control, we can do that. But my personal thoughts on border control, I will keep to myself, at least at this junction. But I appreciate your insistence in political intelligence. I do. But this isn't the time or the place for it. So apologies. But you will not get my hard set views on border control today. So we got to move these larger fleshy lumps into smaller ones, so they sort of bleed into the more smooth line we have going around the head, because I do want to keep that as it is. So we got to make these less, not as large, not as wide, because otherwise they are just going to sort of cut off, and stuff doesn't really do that in nature. Stuff seems to flow, or stuff tends to flow and gradiate, and so we should not ignore that when designing our creatures. I used to. You can go back to some old episodes where I'm like, this doesn't matter because it's late night creatures. That's not the case. You should always pay attention to some sort of rule set when you go, or else your stuff just doesn't look believable in any meaningful capacity. Cartoons have to do it. Creature designers have to do it. It's just sort of how things work. This little creature is very has a lot of political views, clearly. He's a cool gent. He is British, I guess, because I called him a gent. I guess chap is more British, regardless. So we have this here. We have this nice sort of fleshy tube, I guess is the best thing to call it. I don't know what else you would call it. I don't know why I said tube was the best. I mean, you would call it, in my opinion, nothing else but a big tube. It's kind of Birdo from Mario, or Yoshi from Mario right now. And I know what I want to do with, the end of this thing, but I'm gonna save it. I'm going to save it because it's awful. And I want to save it for later. You got to ramp up when you're making content. You can't go for the big thing at the first stretch here. So we got to decide what to do with the body now, which I'm not too sure. I was thinking about doing like a really small sort of atrophied body, almost like he's been shriveled up by some type of, ritual or something, which I actually might do because that sounds kind of dope. So we're going to do that. But thank you guys for letting me talk it out so that I could realize that, that'd be a cool thing to do. I feel like I do this a lot in this show. But you know what? Just, I don't know. I like this type of structure. Big head, little body. It's very appealing, but it's only appealing if you make the little body really, really gross, because otherwise it looks cute. And if you want it to be unsettling, then you have to move out of gross, and you have to make them sort of clash with each other. So one needs to be really smooth and really, refined, while the lower one, this is actually much too thick, while the lower one needs to be a lot more, there it is. Oof. The lower one needs to be a lot more, sort of shaky and, small, but less detailed, less refined. And that's how you get this sort of really gross. It's like the shrunken head. It's like the principle with why the shrunken heads are so creepy is because it ain't supposed to be like that. And so that's why it's weird. And so you got to do that with the body. It's the reverse. It's the exact reverse of the whole shrunken head thing. Except I think except he has a pistol. Because he needs to defend himself. There you go. There's a strident political view that he has. He believes very strongly in his Second Amendment, in the Second Amendment. That's something so I guess he's not British. I guess he's American because of what I just said. Or he immigrated to America, which would mean he probably has very loose opinions on border control. See, we're fleshing out a whole character here. Anywho, here's this gross, awful, atrophied body. I'm going to make it a little worse by giving it a more defined neck. I'm going to have to move this arm with the gun because I didn't think about a neck, and I should have, and that's on me. So we're going to use a little time here to make this look more like, a body. Because I could leave it as it is, but I don't like how it looks, and so we're going to workshop it a little bit. You and I together. We're just going to do, he seems like an anarchist. Yeah. I don't know. You can make your own conclusions about, other stuff about him. Just know that he likes guns. He likes guns and he likes immigration, and those are his two viewpoints, and that's it. There's his gun. That's a worse gun than I drew before. I should redraw that. There we go. Now that's a gun. I like that. I like his gun. I think that's funny. Give these a little more wrinkles, Because I want this to look like a gross, awful, awful raisin. His entire body. I want it to be like a gross, disgusting raisin. And so I'm going to do that. And that's sort of the... do I still play Magic the Gathering? Not really. I'm open to getting back into it, but I'm not too keen on building a new deck. And so if I was to do it, I think I'd get sort of blown out of the water because my deck is pretty old now. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to this thing I teased earlier. Also, you'd take him on a date. I would too, but give it a minute. Because you might not in a sec. Because I do want to do this. So this is going to be very, very bold. See that? Now let's see if I can do that again, but in a different spot. Oh, we were almost there. You know what? I'm fine if it tapers a bit, because it did. I need to fix one piece of it. I need to fix right here. But once we fix that, then we're in the clear. Yeah, there it is. So he does have just a big, disgusting, thing. No, he does have a big, disgusting, I don't know what the right word is. Because, limb isn't the right, well, maybe limb is the right word. Because I am putting a hand on this. Was my master plan, is that he has a hand tongue. That was my big goal, is give him a hand tongue. And so you can maybe call it a limb. I'm not too certain on what classifies as a limb and what doesn't. So, you can draw your own conclusions. Call it what you want. I'm going to call it a gross tongue hand because that's shorter than saying limb. And, that's just sort of going to be our life. That middle finger is very long. That's okay. That means if he gets mad, he can really show him. Let's see. Yeah, I do. Okay, look. Okay. So I do have the deck that I had in Magic, and if you don't know about Magic, don't worry. I'll explain it in terms that anyone can understand. Basically, it lets me create enemies almost infinitely if I play my cards right, and so it can be really annoying, and so it's super fun to play with. But I feel like there's got to be some type of card out there now that I don't know about that could negate my strategy entirely. And to begin with, I was never that good at the game. But again, I'm open to getting back into it. It's just I don't really have the time to devote myself to a new hobby. Because I do this, and I do and I animate and I do other stuff. And, it's just sort of, okay, I like this hand now. I did have to fix the middle finger a little bit. I wanted to make it a little less chunky because it didn't look quite right. And so, yeah. Let's continue. Yeah, you can discuss Magic the Gathering further in the chat, but I don't want it to take up much more of the episode. So, okay. So time is sort of flying by, which is kind of cool. Usually when I've done my first monster, I have more time left than this, which means that I can do either one of two things, and I'll let you help me decide. So the sort of the thing is now I can either make, one more big monster, or I could do a bunch of little ones, and you can decide. I'll let you make the choice. I gotta add slime, so while I'm adding the slime, feel free to discuss amongst yourselves, and we'll see where the poll is. I wish I could do polls on the live streams. I wish there was just a simple button I could, and there might be, but I do these streams all by myself, so I can't really do too many fancy bells and whistles because I have to draw the whole time, and so I can't really do too much fun stuff. But who knows? Maybe someday. Regardless, even if there is a poll function, I can't do it. But I wish I could. I wish I could just set it up at the beginning and press a button, and maybe that's how you do it. Look, fact of the matter is, don't quote me on it. I'd like a poll function. Can someone call YouTube for me? Is the thesis of what I was saying. Okay, I got one vote for little ones. That's a tally. Let's see. I gotta add more slime. This guy's gonna be so slimy. You won't even know. He's gonna be the slimiest guy around. Not in like a moral way, but just like in a literal way. No, because I've drawn slimy creatures, and they aren't near as nice as this guy is. So, be nice to him is what I'm saying. He's essentially my child. I love all of my creatures equally. This one's pretty cool though. So please be kind to him because he doesn't deserve any hate. He is very drippy, but don't hate him for that. Look, he just wants to shake. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine this thing? I guess gliding. He has to have some sort of, flight power because that body would not be able to carry him anywhere. Could you imagine this thing sort of just floats over to you? It just goes out the thing and it shakes your hand. Can you imagine how awful and disgusting that would be? Still love it, but it is a gross little mongrel. And so let's see. Little ones. I got a few for little ones, and we're going to have to move on soon. But let me see if there's any more detail work I want to do, so anyone else who wants to jump in can. I do want to do some more work on these horns just to make them a little more, There's some simple stuff you can do to make them look more like horns. This is one of them. I made those way too patterned, but it's okay. Just add some, some dashes, because it's sort of it's reminiscent of like the grain and the scratches that horns get. There's that. Oh my. I actually hadn't taken a step back to look at him in a while. What a thing. I don't know what to name it. We'll get there later. Okay, so I have not too much time. So we're going to do a few little creatures. So first off, let's just do his kids. So his kid number 1 is going to be this shaped, I guess. And he's going to look like this. I've drawn a creature this shaped before. Forget which episode it was, but I have drawn a creature this shape before, but whatever. And so he has these funny eyes like so. Let's give him little pupils. Oh, there he is. And he loves his dad. I'll tell you what. He loves his dad. And here he is saying hello to the neighbors. This is from the POV of the neighbors who don't know what this thing is or why it moved into the neighborhood. But here's kid number 1. And he's saying hi to the neighbors. I still do these stick hands a lot, by the way. Art school hasn't changed me that much. And the reason that I still do them is because they're easy and fun to just sort of, do a hand like that. He's saying hi to the neighbors. I can actually let's kind of make him wave here. More, this isn't going to look great just because, this usually doesn't look too great. But hey, we're doing our best here. We're on a bit of a time crunch now. So there he is. That looks fine. So there he is. He's got one hand on his hip. He's a sassy guy. And he's saying hello to the neighbors. He's like, hello, this is my dad up here. That's sort of his whole thing. It looks like your school picture. Oh, I'm sorry. Man, I hope not. I hope not. But if it does, that's okay. Because he's a nice kid. Look at him. He's got all the things that make a child. He's got the little, little propeller hat with the stripies. He's a child. That's how you indicate in drawing. That's how you always indicate a child. Proportions don't matter. I'm being a hypocrite here, but proportions don't matter. Facial features don't matter. If you put one of these hats on him, okay, they're a kid. That's how it works. So there's child number 1. And now we need child number dos. That means 2, if you didn't know. Which, if you didn't, watch more Dora the Explorer, like I do. So we gotta do kid number 2. I think kid number 2 is just gonna be a rectangle. So there he is. He's gonna have feet, as you do. Most people at least. If you don't have feet, that's chill. But he's a rectangle. I'm gonna do this. Ooh, look. Oh, dimension. So he's a rectangle. That's so simple, but like a little more 3D. And he's the problem child. He's the one that doesn't get along with, oh my gosh, that was a good scary eye I drew. He doesn't get along with dad too much. He's the one. Every family has that kid. He's the one that's always upset, and the mouth shape I'm going for here is very, not like difficult to draw, but it's very specific. So I was having a bit of trouble doing it correctly. First try. That's going to have to work. Because it's just like this type of shape. There he is. Oof. What a guy. He's a champion. Oh my gosh. Yikes. That was actually kind of scary. He's kind of a... Man, I would not want this to be my son. Future my son, if you're watching this, if you exist, don't look like this. And if you do, change it. We also, gotta do this. What's the chat up to? Why didn't it tell you I went live again? I don't know. Live action Dora or cartoon Dora? 100% cartoon. I didn't watch the live action Dora. The only reason I'd consider watching it is because Danny Trejo is Boots, and I think that that's hilarious. So we also got to add that because that's how you know he's a child. Also, what a family. Oh man. He's a dad, and you know what? All dads have a mustache, so we gotta fix him. Cause I didn't intend for him to be a dad. That's just sort of how the cards fell. That's sort of the magic of Late Night Creatures, is your spontaneity determines a lot about a character. And sometimes if you think something's funny, you have to retcon a few things to really make it work. For example, he has a mustache now. So there it is. Kindly mustached. Oh wait, I did this wrong. I haven't drawn a mustache in a while. I did a whole episode about facial hair. I forget what episode it was, but I did a whole episode about facial hair. And I can't draw a mustache. There, it's better. That's not great, but it's better. He doesn't really have a nose, and so it's kind of hard to pinpoint where a mustache should go. So, Yeah, before the hat, you were confused. Exactly. Without this, okay, this is advice. Without this, okay, no one's going to know that your character is a child. It's not possible. This is, okay, disclaimer, this is, of course, a lie. This is not, I don't want to give the wrong idea in case there's, like, an impressionable artist who watches this, which probably isn't the case. But just in case, you can draw a kid without this hat, but not really. I just hope people know I'm joking. You can do whatever you want. You can draw a kid correctly with proportions. The important thing about kids, they just all got big old heads, and then their body's just awful. Like that. This is basic. I'm not great at drawing people, but this is great. This is basically like you'd get, and then you go like, like this, and then you do some drool because all kids are dumb, and then that's a kid. Right? I mean, but that's a kid. And if you really want to, like cement it, if you really want to make it solid, if you really want like them to really know, then you just add that on. And then they know for sure that it's a child. No question. Zero question that it's a child. Okay. Well, we have 4 minutes left. So we should get to shading. What color? We'll do, I don't remember what I did last time. I think I did orange. We'll do yellow. I'm not going in any type of order, but yellow just seems like a good color to shade these guys in. So we'll do it. Let's see, where do I want the light source to be? We'll do a light source from up top. So that way it'll just look kind of fun. So yeah, thanks for sticking around. The episode isn't ending, but just thanks everyone for coming. Glad to see you come out. Hope you're doing all right, staying healthy, staying inside. I mean, as long as your state has a shelter in place order, which I think all of them do at this point, but I might be wrong. But if you do, stay home because it's there for a reason. And yeah, just stay safe out there because you should. It's really as simple as that. If you want to not be sick and not get the virus, stay home and don't be in contact with people who might have the virus. Sort of the golden rule there. Yeah, putrid. Yeah, highlight. Yeah, I wish I saved myself the time to do highlights, but we run on a time limit on this show. For no reason other than that, because I could do it longer, and who knows, maybe someday I will, depending on the audience. But for now, the reason that I do it, I'm going to do this all yellow, because this is covered entirely by his head. But the reason I only do shading and don't do highlight, even though it'd be fun and cool, is it would take too much time, and I usually save a lot of that time for the creatures. No, these guys are going to be easy to shade. It's literally just going to be whoop. And he's done. And this guy, it's going to be ba-da-da-da-da-dee-do. And we'll do one up there. And we got to do that. And he's done. Now I want to color in the slime. Because whenever I do slime, I like to color it in the shading color. Just because it helps distinguish the slime a bit more. I feel like, did I draw something slimy recently? In one of the last couple episodes since I've been back from college. For some reason, I feel like I have. I feel like I've done my slime technique recently. But I don't remember in what episode or when. Oh, I think it was last episode, because I drew the one of the characters bursting out of a tumor on the other one's head. And I drew slime on that. So we got a minute left here. So I mean, it's okay if we go a little over, but I try and keep it to 30 minutes because I don't want to take too much of your time away. The show's late at night, and we all got stuff to do, beds to sleep in. But with that, I gotta do the mustache. Okay, now with that, we are complete. So let me, yeah, there they are, all lined up. So thank you so much for joining me on Late Night Creatures. I hope you had a good time. I know I did. We didn't name them. Oopsie. I'm going to name them real quick. Rapid fire. Rapid fire. You rats. I didn't name them. I always name them. We'll name you Teremy. And you'll be Tobus. And you'll be. There we go. Perfect. 2 character names. Definitely not ones I stream of consciousness out of my head. Okay. So, have a good night, everyone. Again, thanks for joining me. I hope I see you next week. It's Wednesdays at 11 p.m. If you're bored during quarantine, there's over 50 episodes you can go back and watch through. And with that, I bid you good night. Bye.